This week on Hollyoaks. Well, our tune is.
Ooh.
Putting it down.
I had a proper mad sleep last night. Went to the pub yesterday afternoon. I only had 3 pints and then come back and had a dinner. And then I went to bed quite early and I woke up like wide awake at 5 in the morning. And I was like, right, I'm going downstairs for a drink.
What, a pint?
Yeah. So then I come back up and I got back in bed and I thought, yeah, this is me now. There's no way in the world I'm going back to sleep.
Just seen this in the background. Completely forgot about it. Guess who it is? Made it in year 8.
The hell is that? It looks like the head off Heart Attack.
It's Venomous Slash.
I'm just about
Is it?
It looks like Slash.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Has he got a six pack?
Well, at one point,
What is he made it out of?
it's made out of clay.
what episode's this?
16.
16.
16! At a push 17! 16!
Good evening, everybody. It is the Sherlocks podcast, episode 16. You're joined by Trent, Alex, Brandon, and myself. We're going to be talking absolute nonsense for as long as Trent can get out of the edit. What have we been up to?
What have you been up to, Trent?
I went to a party on Saturday.
Oh.
Is it at the Bella Vista, actually, you know, Alex, where you went.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been in that function room before, but yeah, nice food. It was actually my hairdresser's daughter's 18th. That's how close we are. She's been my hairdresser that long that, yeah, we've actually been to Florida together as well, so.
Is that the one who comes to your house and cuts your hair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Floor rider.
Nice.
Were you feeling it yesterday?
Not really, no. I think I felt it more on Saturday after having a few drinks in the house on Friday night. I didn't even drink as much. I was on the JD Honey.
I haven't had that in 2 Christmases.
Can you
Counting.
remember that? That JD apple that we tried on Ferry?
Yeah.
Bought some of that over there.
I like the fire one, mate.
We had it mixed together, didn't we? Like the
Yeah.
apple and the fire.
Fusion.
Nice.
Well, I'm feeling pretty fresh, considering I fell asleep. I don't know what time it was I came up. I come alive about 1 o'clock and I stumbled across a AC/DC concert.
Sound like you're morphing into Trent.
About 1:30, AC/DC. AC/DC?
Can't it be about AC/DC, man?
AC/DC at River Plate in Argentina.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. The crowd's there.
Honestly, I'm not even a massive AC/DC fan, but I think at that moment, about 1:45 last night when it really kicked in, I think I was the biggest AC/DC fan in the world.
You've got
The
so
crowd
many good
was just-
tunes.
The whole stadium. It was a cool shot, actually, like a drone shot going off at stadium, and it was just insane. Like, the whole stadium was just bouncing. And then I fell asleep.
Well, they're playing in Edinburgh, aren't they? I'd really love to go.
Do you know what I like about AC/DC? They just do what it says on the tin. No,
Yeah.
it's just guitars absolutely crank. Probably same 4 chords, just absolutely rock. Drummer's just playing a 4/4 every tune, just going.
Yeah.
And then, quite funny actually, drummer, I don't know his name, basically all gigs had a fag hanging out of his mouth.
Because they've had about 3 drummers, haven't they? It's like Phil Rudd, Chris Slade.
Did one get arrested or something in Australia?
Yeah, Phil Rudd, yeah.
Literally just like that, all gig. You know, when it's hanging out pretty cool, when it's like, I don't care, nearly hanging out like that.
Let me get that picture from Germany where there's
Yeah.
that guy, I think we're in Hamburg or somewhere, and there's a guy he's at the Bandit, he's that concentrated, the ash is stuck on, it's gone all the way down to the filter or whatever, but it's just bent like that, it's hilarious.
That were a good boozer, that. I were ill. You were getting stuck into it, and I was just literally taking myself downstairs, throwing up every 2 minutes. I think he had food poisoning or something. That's where we were playing pool with that bloke, innit? And then Brandon got told off. Brandon got told off for
Being too good.
snookering him.
Yeah, apparently you don't play it like that over there.
It's a crime.
Yeah, wanted a rematch, didn't he? Where was that?
Hamburg.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's
they
a
brought
video
out a
somewhere.
Mauser.
There is a video somewhere, actually.
Sorry, good shot though before.
2 shots.
Good shot before.
What a fuck?
Good shot previous. Sorry.
No, shit. You say me sorry. I'm only on snooker. No. It ain't good. Not in German. Not in German. Sorry. That is not nice. Not gentleman.
Yeah, I think I'll play it.
No, I don't know what is this. A little bit more like 2-1 shots.
Got telling off. Laid a nice little snooker, and he just weren't having it. This kid, he was like, no snooker. No.
Don't play snooker. What did he say? I can't remember much, but he basically was saying, like, you've got to play attack or something like that constantly. Like, you can't play defensive over there in pool. It's just attack, even if you miss the ball. Like, miss the shot. You've got to just attack constantly, so you can't play any snookers or any leaving it safe.
Yeah, I think it's still a bit of a thing over here, though, isn't it? In pool, it is a bit of a dirty trick.
Frowned upon.
Not really. Not when I play. The pool I play in is some really, really good pool players, and they all play it. In fact, the drummer at Camilla Rice, them who played down at our pub, his auntie plays pool for England, and she goes all the way around Europe and everywhere playing. And she's got like a pool table in her conservatory, and I got invited around there one afternoon, and we had like a big pool tournament thing. And it's just standard. That's basically how you play it.
Yeah.
I think it's all right if you play a shot where you play a defensive shot. I don't like the ones where you just like where people just roll up behind the ball. You know, like
that's a bit of
you know when you just people where they just tap it just behind the ball. You're like, oh come on, at least actually play a good shot.
I can't even lie. I'm that guy.
Yeah, you are.
At least try and play a shot with a bit of skill instead of just doing.
That's funny though when you try being clever and you underrate it, so you don't even. You basically foul because you haven't even managed to get the cue ball to hit figgy ball. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm not proud of it. Win by any means necessary, even if you have to pull out the dirty tricks.
Sometimes you got to.
Yeah, just don't overuse it.
Yeah, don't overuse that. There's only so many times you can use that. That is frowned upon if you've never played anyone before at pool. You know, like if you're on table, it's like somebody's put 50 down. Like it costs 50 pence where I play, and then it's
50 quid.
And it's like winner stays on. So you could be playing anyone, or you could be playing somebody who you've never played before. And then if you're rolling up behind the ball, you shouldn't really be doing that.
I think it's worse if you're doing that to a stranger as well.
Yeah. Get ready for Q coming round your head.
Bit of a cop out, isn't it?
This could be a grind your gears, actually.
What grinds your gears?
So when you're in a pub and they put the pool table doesn't really fit in its designated area, and you can't get the cue to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very, very valid point. That no argument there.
Yeah, and then you end up taking your shot like that, annoying that.
I'll tell you what, a pub down the road from me, the pool table's right next to the dartboard, so if people are playing darts, you have to watch out if they're like right next to each other. You might have a dart into the side of your head.
Yeah, it's like that one near me and all. It's just health and safety's gone out the window there.
I wrote a couple down.
Steve Prince actually tweeted me a grind his gears. I'll tell you what grinds my gears. People making lists about what grinds their gears.
Have you seen that Family Guy episode when he goes, you know what really grinds my gears? Insert clip. It's quite funny.
You know what really grinds my gears? This Lindsay Lohan. Eh? Lindsay Lohan with all those little outfits.
I'll start you off nice and easy. Greg's. It's either freezing, just the inconsistency of Greg's. It's either absolutely freezing or it's like lava. That's annoying. And I don't get why by now in Greg's the counter thing they should just make it a heated thing. I don't know why they don't do that.
Is it something to do with hygiene?
Yeah, basically.
I used to work at KFC. That was like my first ever job. And after 4 hours, you basically have to throw the chicken out. Like, it's no good because they say it's been sat there too long. Even though it's in an oven and it's heated, they have to just throw it out. So I don't know if they've changed that. Well, I always thought that would be daft.
What were you like? Been 4 hours now and then scrapping it?
I used to take it home with me, mate. Literally, all of us at the end of shift. Just like perfectly good chicken, just getting thrown in bin liners, then thrown in bin. And it's like, why?
I know.
Didn't make any sense at all. It's like some people when they get a bargain bucket or whatever, if there's any left, they'll save it for the next day or whatever, put it in fridge. It's perfectly good. So like, what's the difference between just taking it out and just didn't make any sense to throw it in bin? I'm sure at this point now they might have changed the policy somehow and just give it away or they do something with it because it's just mad. It was mad just seeing it all go in bin liners and thrown away.
Crazy, isn't it?
Madness. Absolute madness.
Take it to a frigging homeless shelter. Speaking of KFC, I have actually got one. Right, this generally grinds my gears. When you can't get a full fat beverage from KFC, even though you're literally eating fried chicken. Feel like people have ruined that. Greedy people.
What, you can't get what?
TV chef.
If you go to KFC, you can't get full fat Coke or
Pepsi, innit?
Pepsi, you can't get
what,
it.
You can't get normal Pepsi there?
You can't get any full fat.
Sugar tax, innit?
Whether it's Tango.
I never knew that. I tried not good to be honest.
Same, but that actually does grind my gears. Like, I think last time time I went, whatever I got, a wrap or something, and then, can I have a Pepsi, mate? And he was like, it's diet Pepsi, is that alright? And I went, I'll have Tango then. And he was like, that's diet. I went, I literally said this as well, I went, have you got any full fat drinks? And he just went, no, mate. And I thought, what?
It's mad that. I need to check on that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's McDonald's.
No, it's definitely not McDonald's.
But KFC, I'm sure
I think they all are now. I'm sure they are.
can only get diet drinks.
So they have diet, and then they have the zero, which is it's just same shit, different label.
But then on the flip side, they do them bloody Crush'ems, which is just 100% sugar.
Yeah.
It's madness. I just don't get. I don't get it.
It's just they do Tango.
Do they?
Yeah.
Tango Orange. That's just that seems to be it. But Pepsi, or like if you're after a Coke, they do Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Max, and Pepsi Max Cherry, and then they do 7-Up, Zero.
Greedy people have ruined it. That should be an option. Just drink less of it. Just don't have it as much, but not scrap it for restaurants for people who are not greedy. Come on.
Yeah, I'll tell you another one. So I got a takeaway curry on Saturday night, and what is really annoying, so you know what you're ordering, say like it's a garlic chili chicken, and it's always hit and miss, innit?
I don't know, I'm not having that.
Sometimes they do it, and it's like, comes one way, other time, comes a completely different way, and you're going, what's changed here? What's gone wrong?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
What's gone wrong?
I hadn't had that problem, but I have to go with a second option anyway. The place I order from isn't even my first option. It's just the place I'd go to first. They don't deliver. That's where we go, actually. Got one booked in soon.
Chinese don't deliver. Very rare you find a Chinese that delivers.
Really?
Yeah, well, at least where I am.
That's a very obscure view on it. Yeah. I think the idea of a takeaway is it gets delivered.
Yeah, no, you've got to go pick it up. Every single Chinese, I think, near me, you've got to go pick it up.
Mad.
The ones that are mint, they're the ones that have said, we're not delivering if you want it.
Yeah.
They're the best ones.
That must be
Superb in Bolton, where we're from. Rate Chinese. Won't deliver to me.
Too far.
I think that is definitely part of it. They're thinking they can come to us.
Yeah.
You want it, come get it.
Yeah.
We're that busy.
We're here all night. When you get served your beer in the wrong glass, for example, getting a Guinness in a Carling glass, that's
is strong. That is
criminal.
A strong contender. That
don't even thing it. You know that page, that Disastrous Pints or whatever it's called on Twitter. It doesn't even have to be that bad. It doesn't need to be a Guinness in a cider glass or whatever. But even just, let's go back a step. Even like you order a Moretti, say, and they put it in a Carling glass, it does devalue it. And I feel like you probably get judged. We aren't saying it, and people won't admit it. You do judge people. Everyone's judging people. So if you're walking away from that bar with your Foster's glass, well, you look like you've got a Foster's, but in actual fact, you ordered a Madri or San
Just
Miguel.
walking past everyone like going, San Miguel.
Yeah.
San Miguel.
It is San Miguel.
Going shit all. But the San Miguel glasses are starting to grind my gears. They really are. You take a sip and it just drips everywhere. It's not me. I haven't had too many. The condensation, it just all builds up on it and then it just dribbles all over your pants. And then you look like you've wet yourself.
The dribble.
There you go. It's San Miguel.
Yeah, it's San Miguel.
worst thing, probably going back to that pint in wrong glass, would probably be like a left in an old school pint glass. That'd be horrendous.
Yeah, I've had that a few times actually.
Common in Europe though, isn't it?
M glasses.
Yeah.
Europe they do it, and then you get a lager or something in one of them old pint glasses, and it's just flat.
I tell you what though, I do think in Europe their glassware game is top tier. Like sometimes you order a drink, it'll come out in a proper right nice glass.
Yeah.
And you think you'd never get that in England. Like half of them be in people's bags or they'd be walking out at pub with Trent.
Unreal.
Hey.
It's next level. They know what they're doing. Tell you what grinds my gears. This is probably very specific. Pacific. Changing menus. I don't like change. That winds me up.
Is that because of the recent thing with spoons?
It could be, Trent. It could be. So my nearest spoons, which it feels like my living room in terms of just how comfortable you are. When I walk in, I think, yep, like it. They've stopped the grill section. They've took it off. They've completely took it off. So you can't get a steak from that Weatherspoons anymore.
Do you think there's something behind it? Do you think the chef just couldn't grill anything?
Yeah, I think one day the chef went, sod this.
Head chef.
We're checking grill menu off now.
The chef's had enough.
Marco Pierre shite.
I'm not cooking another sirloin.
Yeah.
That grinds me gears. So if I want a steak from my local spoon, it's not happening. Got to go to a different one. Tell you what grinds me gears. Petrol station, shopping. That does me head in. It should just be, get your fuel, get in your car, and...
Yeah.
Shopping.
That is, especially if you're in a rush.
Shopping is in what though?
You've filled your car up, you're going in, and then you're just basically doing a big shop, like grab some milk, grab some bread, walk round, aisle, grab some Nature Valley bars. Meanwhile, there's cars backed up.
Oh, right, I ain't seen nobody do that, to be fair.
On the same footing, very similar, when you're waiting to pull forward, so you're not gonna, there might be a car behind you, you're waiting on that car to go, and you think, well, I'll wait till he pulls off and I'll go there. Like when people get in car, and they're just waiting, drive off straight away, they're like in mirror just doing their hair or sparking a can of pop, it's just like, just go. That grinds me gears. I tell you what else grinds me gears, the pull here label on a pack of bacon never works.
I just use a knife, I think.
Yeah, I do, to be fair.
Vacuum sealed packs, they wind me up. Pretty hard to open. Scraping barrel here. Sour cream dips.
I truly scraped it.
Sour cream dips. Again, don't really eat McDonald's, but there were about 2 things I'd eat from that, and one was chicken select. They stopped the sour cream dip. Why? Anyway, we'll have some more next week.
Chuck makes me laugh. You say I never have McDonald's. I think you spoke about it in 3 consecutive podcasts.
I probably have, yeah. Thing is, I genuinely don't. Generally.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just convenient, isn't it?
The most times I eat KFC and McDonald's is by far with the band, like 1,000 times. Like I never have it when I'd go as far as I'd never have it when I'm not with band. Only time I'll have a McDonald's or KFC is that exact thing. Like, say like we've been to band practice and I ain't out to eat, and it's like I'm starving or I need to get a drink. Then I'll nip into drive-through or whatever on the way back if it's a long drive. But most of the time it's just with band, and when it's like, oh, what should we eat? I'm starving, and then you're turning up and you're seeing like like that thing we put on TikTok, that Scotch egg bar, and it's like, what the hell are we going to eat here? And then there's either Chinese, Subway, KFC or McDonald's, but most of the time it's just McDonald's that's open, innit? Because sometimes we'll go like 2 in the morning or whatever and there's nothing open.
Nothing.
And then on opposite, like I say, sometimes you'll drop on a Mint Services and you're like, yeah, there's everything here. Go and have a look at a few sandwiches. There's one when we were going up north somewhere, up Scotland, and we dropped on one and there were like KFC, Greggs. There were loads, there were a few decent shops as well. We can get some sarnies and that. But
was it Gretna Green?
I can't remember.
I started opting for Waitrose sandwiches now, these days.
I have got to that point where I'm just... Don't get me wrong, I love a KFC, but not every time we're stopping at services.
Prawn sandwich.
Beetroot salad.
You've got for the maddest... What was that last one you got? It was like a chutney and...
Is it Wensleydale and carrot chutney or something? It's just like a cheese and pickle sandwich, but it was actually banging, and then sound engineer got it. He loved it. It sounds mad, but it's just basically rebranded.
Tell you what grinds me gears. Just thought one now. I'd have started sticking bottle caps to bottle. Why? Well, I know why, but pointless.
I think everyone in the world thinks that's ridiculous.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, and they overfill them.
Yeah, so when you open
it's
these
right to the top.
These in particular catch you out. You know, when you pop lid on it, I think I did it last night. Popped lid on it, went all over me.
Yeah, anyway, it's water.
It's water. San Miguel. Go on then, what's been happening in the world?
Come on, Frodo.
Well,
I don't want to keep going on about
I've got a good one actually this week, and I said it to Trent before.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne is doing a final gig with Black Sabbath, but anyone who don't know, Trent is big into that kind of world. So
and I made him post this.
yeah, so he well, you tell story. Weren't you supposed to see him or something? And
Oh yeah, I was gonna. So basically, I saw Black Sabbath on their End tour in 2017 or something. But then, like a few years after, I meant to see Ozzy Osbourne do his stuff on his own. I think this was like 2019 or something. But then he got ill, postponed it to like 2020, and then we went into COVID. So then it got postponed again. It got postponed about 4 years, and then it was like, oh, now I'm retiring, and cancelled his whole tour. So yeah, I didn't actually get to see. I've seen Black Sabbath, but I wanted to see Ozzy doing Ozzy, Crazy Train and stuff like that. So
is it at Villa Ground?
Yeah, I think so.
you got tickets.
Not looked. I've seen that the prices are going to be like extortionate.
I saw
unbelievable.
I saw someone saying they were going to be about 750 quid or something daft.
Yeah, I think did they say like every band's only doing like half an hour or something?
I don't know much about the
Like
gig.
Metallica's playing it and.
Are they?
I heard something like that, like a little festival.
Oh right, I didn't know much about it. I just seen it come up as like Ozzy Osbourne last ever gig. How old is it?
I'd love to go. 73.
Is it that old?
I don't know. I was complete shot in the dark, but
Let's have a look.
What was
we'll
old?
find out now. 76.
76.
Is he?
Yeah, he's 76.
Oh, I didn't realise it was that old.
Second time lucky. Yeah, well, they're all of that era, obviously getting on. Nobody's getting younger, are they?
You're certainly not.
No.
Any more current affairs?
Liverpool's been knocked out of the FA Cup by
Yes.
Plymouth Argyle. Crazy one.
Just as Rooney's left, isn't it?
I didn't watch it, to be fair. I didn't watch much football this week.
No, I didn't.
Current
There's been a
affairs.
couple of plane crashes, but I'm not going to go into them because they keep happening. I feel like jinxing it.
See what's trending.
The Super Bowl.
Tesco in
Super Bowl,
Dubai.
yeah.
It's a strange one.
Tesco moving to Dubai.
Tesco in Dubai. Kanye, he's trending.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Kanye.
What he tweeted, I think I saw it.
Unbelievable.
Wow,
He tweeted saying that,
Oh,
yeah, just bad.
very bad.
Right, we'll not go into that. I'll
Has
have
he
a look.
got banned or something?
I think they're trying to get him banned.
Hey, I've got another one. Kind of links into everything we've talked about. Greggs have rolled out a new menu better than McDonald's and KFC across 20 Scottish branches, and it basically looks like McChicken sandwich. You know the wraps that basically taking elements from both and then putting them in just like normal bread cakes they do, but like chicken sandwiches. We might.
Oh, you know, you were on about Pikelet last week.
Oh, yeah.
My mum went to me, "You've definitely had them before." And I went, "Oh," and then she showed me, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, banging."
Nice.
Just to let you know. What we got coming up?
New music, right? I'll start us off. I'm going to pick a song. It's not a new band, but it is new music because I only heard the tune yesterday.
Yep.
It's by a band called Belle and Sebastian. I don't know where they're from or anything like that, but there's a song on their 1998 album. I think the album is called that. The Boy with the Arab Strap is the name of the song, and I heard it in a pub in Sheffield in Kelham yesterday.
I don't know why that made me laugh.
I heard it, I think, in Neeps End Social in Kelham Island yesterday. Shazammed it. Good tune. Just chugs. There you go. Check that out.
Right, I'm going to go with a song off the new Jake Bugg album. It's called All Kinds of People. Mint. I think his new album's great. And I think it's the chorus. It's got a bit of a B-52s vibe. The guitar, a little bit surfy.
Nice.
You know, like Private Idaho. B-52s. Really cool. Love it.
Nice. I tell you what I have been listening to. It is new music. Inhaler's got a new album out. I had to listen through, and there was one tune that stood out called Even Though.
Even flow.
Yeah.
Even though I was listening through, and that one pricked my ears up a couple of times when I was listening to it, so I've been listening to that one quite a bit this week. Even flow. Check that out as well. Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Ever heard Pearl Jam?
It's Cliff.
Rest his head on a pillow made of concrete. That's called Pearl Jam. You ever see Pearl Jam live?
Alright, I'm going to go for a band called PoolEra. The local lads to me, in fact, the very local lads to me, I found out they pretty much like live in the same village as me.
Next door.
Yes, down the road.
Living downstairs.
Went to the same school as them and everything. They're a bit younger than me, but yeah, good band. Check them out. A song called Falling. Yeah,
Nice.
check them out.
They live very local.
Very local.
Next
They live in my
Literally.
basement.
Yes.
Fan comments. I'm going to go through some quick ones. Steve Woodhouse, another one from him. If you had to have one, what would be your last supper?
Good question. Probably 10-ounce ribeye steak with proper pub chips, like triple fried and cut chips, and a fried egg.
I'd probably have something from like a smokehouse, like a barbecue kind of platter with a bit of everything on. That'd do me.
Just have a massive Chinese order, everything.
Calm down, big John.
Yeah. I think I'd be the same. I'd get like a big rib of beef or something. A lot of horseradish, mustard, a lot of veg. Bosh.
Nice.
Cut the buff.
Yeah.
Another one from Matt. Great podcast, lads. Alex had me in stitches with a red bin. It's a shit show. The whole country's on its arse. Not quite funny. That. There's a new tune called All Right by Andrew Cushion. Give that a listen. Decent tune.
Nice. Will do.
Yeah, I've heard it. Very good.
What is it? All right.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright.
Check that out. I entered that. I'll have a listen.
Bradley Allen, I agree with ketchup in the cupboard.
Yes.
Yeah, but follow on.
I did see somebody comment. I don't know if I've
Just
screenshotted
love.
it.
I think
I
someone's
don't know if they were
been
on YouTube though. Somebody said in the cupboard until it's open, then in the fridge.
Yeah.
What's
It's
this,
like it's 50-50.
Just we mentioned Alex Spencer in this one, so they said I saw Alex Spencer supporting the Rolling People in December. Very good. I'll be good in Manchester with him. Sam Skirtle is good, and yeah, he's from Mexborough.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
By the way, was the Butchers Alex mentioned was over your end at the start, John Crook and Son?
No.
Oh, there's another one.
Because Googled that and it's that's over your way, isn't it?
That's mine and Kieran's uncle's Butchers.
Is it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Now run
of
by...
course.
It's run by Dane. You Googled it. I used to actually work there, and I had a funny story once. So I used to work there. I think I used to go on a Saturday morning or whatever, and it was red hot, and I was making these burgers. Basically, I made these burgers, but they were 100% beef. Like, there were no fat in them at all. So putting them through mincer, getting them, putting not silver things, like these film things on, pressing them. And then we were having a bit of a barbecue at our house because it was red hot. So I brought them back, and my dad had Barbie going, and I was like, right, we'll stick these on Barbie. Jesus wept. Put them on, and just started falling through grill because there were no fat in them to hold them together. So it was just like
Schoolboy era.
pure meat, but there were no in it to like hold them together. So it was just like crumbling into nothing. So it was like prime wasted beef. But yeah, used to
That
work
was the
down
last
here.
time he was allowed on the mincer.
But yeah, if you're from anywhere in the Rotherham area, check it out. John Crook and Sons. The deals our Dame puts on Facebook. I don't even know how he's doing it, but unbelievable. Check it out.
We'll leave it at that. Leave any more comments if you've got any questions or anything you want us to read out. We will get around to reading them out. There's still quite a few more to go.
Yep.
Right, everybody, this week we have got a special guest. He's not only a genius, he's a friend of the band. He produced our third album, that's right.
Yep.
Will They Understand? Award-winning producer, top man, Dave Eringa. So here's a little chat we had with Dave a couple of weeks back.
Yep.
Check it out. Right, everybody, we want to welcome award-winning producer, good friend of ours, produced his third album.
Yep.
Crazy to think, we're on his fifth at minute. But yeah, produced his third album, Will They Understand? Top man, Dave Eringa. So,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you, boys.
yeah.
You too.
I
Thank
think
you for
Brandon-
doing it. I'm just admiring your lights. It's like you and our Kieran having a light off.
I think Dave's just done it.
Yeah.
Done me.
You had to assume my studio would have some lights.
Yeah.
100%.
I got inspired, so every time I come in here, it's like Santa's grotto.
It's nice. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, Brandon's probably explained a little bit. There's no real structure, to be fair, which is always a bad idea not to have that. But we want to go back to the beginning, Dave, really, and how were your childhood? Where were you brought up? And were you always into music as a kid?
I suppose I got into music when I hit like 10 and 11 kind of thing. I was brought up in Essex, in the cultural wastelands of Essex, in a town called Brentwood, which is now famous for The Only Way is Essex, which is not a great thing. But that was where I was brought up. And yeah, I got into music as a kind of, I suppose I got into like rock, like rock and metal first, as a kind of escape from the boredom of daily life in the 80s,
Were you in bands growing up?
Yeah, I was, yeah. I used to live for the weekend, did band practice on a Friday night and a Saturday. Just that feeling of, even though we were shit, making something out of nothing, But It was always, from when I was like 13, I always wanted to be a producer. That was the one thing I wanted to do. There's a bit of a story. We didn't have many foreign holidays when I was a kid, but we did go for 5 days to Florida, which was a weird thing to do. On the way home, I was sat next to a guy with really long hair, and he looked a bit like Sammy Hagar, who was the singer in Van Halen at the time. And I was a precocious little shit, and so I said to him, I just leaned over and said, "Anyone ever told you look like Sammy Hagar?" And he was like, "Oh man, when me and Sammy are in the studio together, people can't tell us apart." And I was like, "Oh!" And it turned out he was a producer that had done all these like American soft rock records, and some of which I knew, and I just talked his arse off for the whole trip. And I just got off the plane, and I was like, I want to do what he does. That was the only thing I wanted to do from that point on, kind of thing. And the weird thing was, years later, when I was 18 and I got my first job in a studio, 2 weeks into starting at that studio, that same guy booked in, and it was the only time he ever worked in the UK.
Wow.
Like a little signpost from life to say you're on the right track, I think.
Yeah. No, that's mental. I was going to ask you that, actually. Obviously, a lot of producers do start in bands. Well, it varies for each person. Some people stumble into being a producer, but yeah.
It was always, I always loved the idea of, engineering as an art. And I suppose the little sort of control freakery of the production thing is, appeals to me. After I produced the Manic's second album when I was 21, I went on the road with them for a year playing keyboards and learnt although it was great fun and I was kind of, it was a really good time. time, I learned pretty quickly that my space was definitely the studio, you know.
That's mad. Yeah.
I suppose there's way more. Being in a band, obviously you can make records, and I suppose, like you say, being a producer, you can sort of change way more. Like, you can literally control which way you can make a record or kill a record, I suppose.
Yes. Yes. I try not to kill them, but you know, I'm sure there's been some along the way that have. But no. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's just great being in the crucible of creation and just seeing things evolve, and you know, being there to catch lightning in a bottle, basically. You know.
Yeah. Well, one thing Alex just mentioned before we started recording, he said, "Oh, I wonder if he's still in touch with Kylie Minogue." I don't know if you want to share that story, but
I mean, I'm not still in touch with Kylie, sadly, but I did do. There was a glamorous little cul-de-sac in my career where I was briefly her MD for her live band. It was in indie Kylie phase, and the Manics wrote a couple of songs for her, you know, or collaborated with her, writing a couple of songs with her. And so I ended up producing them, and we just really hit it off. She's just a really lovely woman, you know, like she's one of these big stars that's worked out, if you're really, really nice to people, they work harder for you kind of thing. So she's one of these people that she knew the name of the drummer's grandma sort of thing, and she would always be involved with everyone, and she was genuinely like beautiful on the inside and the out. And I got a little tick on the old bucket list because I went on Top of the Pops and mimed keyboards with her.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Is it on YouTube or like that?
I think you can find it. I think it wasn't for years because I always wanted to find it, you know. But I think someone died out recently. It's a song called "Some Kind of Bliss."
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah, it's good.
We'll definitely check that out. So, what's been like one of the most, say, crazy sessions of your career?
Crazy sessions, well, in a bad way, or
well, it could be good, bad, or just something that's just been a bit.
Did a session with an artist. I had to go over to Belgium for 6 weeks with a very famous French superstar called Michel Polnareff, who in the 70s was one of the biggest French artists of all time. And I think they'd already been working on that record for 18 months before I came to it. And booked out ICP Studios in Belgium, which is very expensive and very, very posh. And I think I was the 7th mix engineer that came on board to mix the record. And all of these songs had 400 tracks, insane songs. He's like quite a progressive rock artist, and it's just like it was a sort of a really fun view into the excesses of the 80s, because records like that, don't get me, they'd already spent like $1.5 million on the record at that point before I even got there. And he would turn up once every 3 days if you were lucky, but you had to be there 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. He wouldn't take days off, and he had like a chauffeur that the label were paying for, and security, and like 2 Michelin star meals a day, and like it was just completely ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. And of course the record never came out. Like, oh yeah.
Good Lord.
But it was I think, you know, that stuff was like more common for the generation of producers before me, because I sort of came through in the early 90s, and in the 80s when, you know, it wasn't uncommon for records to sell millions and millions and millions, you know, the budgets were just ridiculous, and you heard these stupid stories, and producers were like treated like gods, you know, like but this was before my time kind of thing. And so it was just a sort of little glimpse into that world of you know, record making when anything goes.
Yeah. Was it a bit daunting, obviously, going over to Belgium? Had you met these people before?
No. And before I went in, the A&R guy took me on one side and he said, Dave, you have to understand, in France, we have the Eiffel Tower and we have Michel Polnareff. And you were only allowed to mix one song at a time. You weren't allowed to listen to the other songs and stuff like that, and you could be sacked at any minute. I'd just had a pretty unpleasant tax bill and needed to do the sessions. All right, we're going to do this. But it was like, it was after 2 weeks, and I said, look, you know, this is stupid. You're not getting the best of me if we don't have days off. I've got, you know, my son was, I guess, 14 at the time, and I wanted to go home and see him. And I said, look, we're just going to have to do a day off. I'm going home, and that's that. And the manager said to me, you know, oh, please don't ask for a day off, because he will sack you, and he likes you, and like, we're going to get the record done. And, you know, and I said, what if he likes me? Then he could let me have a day off, because he's not going to get the best of me without that. And the manager was like this, head in the hands, and eventually he agreed to like a day off. it was the weekend of the Paris attacks, and the assistant had been there. She hadn't had a day off for 6 months at this point, working every day, and she was just grey, bless her, and just like a broken human being. And so she was so excited that she could have a day to go back and see her family in Paris. And it was Friday night, and we were just sort of packing up, ready to go. And it started coming through on Twitter, the Paris attacks had happened, and this was literally around the corner from her house in Paris. It was like the one day off this poor girl had, and she had to go home to, grief-stricken war zone.
Yeah, it was awful.
We never got another day off or work for another month after that. With just and it was just Groundhog Day. And I would just walk into the studio in the morning and I'd just have "I Got You, Babe" just in my head, from Groundhog Day. It was mad because you'd get a mix to a certain point, and then you'd need the artist to come in, and he might not come in for a couple of days, and you'd just be sat there, what do I do? And he had this amazing. He hated Christmas, and he had a Christmas song, and it was going to be the single, and he hadn't done the vocal on it yet, and he came in to do the vocal finally after disappearing for 3 days. And the final lyric of the song, they call it in France, they call Father Christmas L'Homme en Rouge, the man in red. The last line of the song was "L'Homme en Rouge, il n'existe pas." Coldest hearted Christmas song of all time. But that was the mentalist session ever.
Yeah, it's unreal because obviously studios, you don't get much vitamin D.
Yeah, and he was going out for these wonderful meals, and the food in the studio was fine. That was what we would get. And so I'd just sit with Camille, who's lovely. She's ended up working with another French artist that I've done a lot with called Calogero, who's amazing and really brilliant. I've had 5 #1 albums in France with him, and she's ended up working for him, which is a nice ending because I thought she'd probably leave music after that.
Have you been at Rockfield recently, Dave?
I have, yes. We did. There was a really interesting last February. So I've just met a young band I'm really excited about from Bolton called Florentines, who are all mega young. So I did a set. We did a sort of mop-up session on the Manics album last February in Rockfield, which was great. But of course, Manics are like family to me, and they're like 3 55-year-old men who, can be quite miserable in a glorious, comfortable way. Do you know what I mean? It's a sort of family thing. So I went from that, and then I still, they left, and I stayed down in Rockfield, and then this band come in, and 3 of them, I think, at the time, I think it was 2 16-year-olds, 1 17-year-old, and the drummer was 14. So I went from 3 55-year-olds to these lads bouncing off the walls, in their first proper studio. It was whoo, this is a change. And the band were brilliant, kind of thing. So I've done 2 more sessions with them in Rockfield. So we've got 11 songs now, and hopefully another one soon.
Nice.
Brilliant. It's such a cool place.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think obviously prior to you and Trent joining band, we did a bit of the first time we worked together in Rockfield.
Yeah, that's right.
Did we do two tunes? I can't remember what we did.
We did two.
Yeah. Will You Be There? And I think it was Chasing Shadows, because I'm sure there's a version where the Chasing Shadows, where I'm sure you put some extra piano bits on at home. So there's a version somewhere of that. Going back to Will You Be There? You got such a good drum sound on that. I think that's when we first, drum sounds in general. I always think you're insane, and guitars and real band sound. Will You Be There? We were that blown away by it. Anyone who doesn't know, that's the first song on our debut album. Even though we re-recorded another version, Dave's version, we were just, it were unmatched. We couldn't have re-recorded it any better. So we put his foot down and said we're having that as
bless you. Bless you. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, I think our first memory of you, especially me and Kieran, we were down, I think it was the Quadrangle studio.
That's right.
We walked in, and you just walked into the fridge, and you just up at fridge, you went, "I'm impressed." Something like that. And we were thinking, we got to that point. I think I'm sure we must have cooked his own food on that first session.
You definitely did. Did. There was a bit of fried spam going on. I remember saying to you and your dad, "Do you not eat vegetables?"
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Just meat and bread.
I was like, you guys are going to get scurvy. I think I made you roast some vegetables. I think I did some peppers and leeks and
Well, they were tray baked, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And you were like, you got just drizzle a little bit of honey on top of it. Really nice and sweet, these carrots.
There you go.
Proper good sessions. The one session we did, I think it was one of them first ones where we were some of the conversations we were having, and we were just literally couldn't breathe with laughing in early hours of morning.
I think it was a good 24 hours before I broke through the Sherlocks defences, though. You were definitely you were quite like, because you were a lot younger, obviously. You were quite shy, I think, and I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to win. I'm gonna make them laugh.
Just so funny, them sessions. Quality. Do you remember them, Key? First ones.
Yeah.
I remember you laughing about the parrot guy.
That conversation about people like they were blowing their legs off or whatever they were doing. I was like, I could not breathe. Like, it felt so good. I blew the other leg off. Oh God! It was just so funny. And then parrot man.
You found the parrot guy.
Yeah. Oh God! Like going. Oh God! Just so funny. I can't take that. It's absolutely hilarious. Obviously, the third album where we all come together and did a proper piece of work.
Yes.
Proper album. Yeah. I remember I got down there quite early and you were there already. You said we were studying that middle bit at the top and you went, how are you getting on with these new guys? Have you had many practices or whatever? We're like, we've only met them once for like half an hour.
Yeah, Kieran had called me a couple of days before and it just said, oh yeah, I should probably mention we've got a different bass player and guitar player now. I was like, oh, brilliant. But it was coming out of the pandemic, wasn't it? That was literally the first time the Rockfield were opening their doors after lockdown for the first time, and we had all those like weird dividers and stuff so that we could like socially separate and stuff, which of course went out the door on the very first day. But yeah, we were all like, it was that kind of like, none of us had been able to be in a studio for however many months it had been. It was a July, wasn't it? It was a July, I think.
Yeah, it was.
So we haven't been in the studio since, any of us, since February. So there was to say there was a keenness to make music would be something of an understatement. Eh?
Yeah, it was a strange, a pivotal time for us as a band. Yeah, like Brandon said, we literally, I think we had one practice. It's insane to even think we did that, but we had one practice with Trent, which weren't a practice. It were basically meeting him and him just playing a bit of guitar. We did the same with Alex a few days later, and then we just sort of like went, right, who wants to play guitar and who wants to play bass?
Oh my God! Oh God!
Yeah, we all met up, and then I saw Alex play, and I was like, yeah, I'll just jump on bass, and that's when it came about.
I mean, it must have been so daunting for you, Trent, walking into that situation with a band that already had a following. I mean, obviously for you as well, Alex, but Trent was 19.
Yeah. And I used to work for him as a backline tech, so it was a bit like, I'm now going into the band. Like, it's very different.
It's a deep breath, isn't it, that?
Well, I just remember the first night when we got there, we all sat around the table, and I think Dave, you might have had a bottle of red. Kieran was drinking, I don't know what he was drinking, but after a certain period, Kieran just stopped talking. And just completely stopped talking. I went, have I said something? I thought, thinking, it's not even going to last a day, this. But it turns out, when he's had a few drinks, he just stopped talking.
Yeah, and falls with his head over the sofa, though.
Yeah. Hit it pretty hard on that section.
Yeah, we spent a lot.
Yeah. I don't think people realise how little. Well, we didn't know each other. To be fair, making that album is like how. Obviously, me and Kira's known each other for forever, but like Alex and Trent didn't know each other, and we didn't know Alex and Trent. So like that whole session was just us getting to know Alex and Trent as people anyway. So it was like we basically got into Rockfield as like strangers trying to basically not knowing songs. Like Kieran's teaching them guitar riffs on WhatsApp and stuff, and then we ended up making that album, which is just, like I say, it's pretty mental to think you'd even go into that situation not knowing anyone to go and make an album.
It was, but it was just, I mean, I suppose the pandemic played into that, because it was just like, yeah, let's just fucking make it work. Let's just fucking do it. You know what I mean? But
what tune did we do first?
That's a good question. No,
I think it was
wasn't
Falling.
It wasn't Falling. No, because I knew that was a really important one, so I would never do that first.
Yeah, I don't think we were first.
I know, like Slip Road and Last to Leave were like the end. Even though that was
Oh God, do you remember the last morning?
Porto.
Yeah, they killed us. We had to drive home.
7 a.m.
It was funny because on the final night,
I broke down on the way home as well.
Did you?
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah.
I remember what you're saying.
It was like a tyre out.
Oh yeah. So I remember seeing Jack, and Jack's face, he just looked like a broken man. It was like, can we just go home, please?
Kieran was just like, no, this whoosh needs to come in just a tiny bit later.
Yeah, it was like doom, doom, doom. He'd had about a full bottle of port.
Yes,
And we were
yes,
like,
he had.
oh.
We went, just leave it at this point. Like,
it needs to be slower.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, those were late night sessions on that record, right? It was like 4 a.m. quite often.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I know there were a few sessions where they were pretty late, or there'd be a couple of sessions where you were like doing comping and stuff, so we just went up to that top bit where what's the proper
Coach
name
house.
for that?
The coach house.
Coach house. Yeah, we just go up there and have a few beers and that, and wait for you to get
An
back.
understatement.
A few beers and a few bottles of port. And I used to come up at 4 a.m. thinking they must be in bed by now, and then you just see the disco lights going around. I just think, and then I'd go to bed and you'd have the music on full volume at like 4 in the fucking morning, and sometimes I'd have to come out like a granddad and go, boys, can you just turn it down just a little bit? I just got to get some fucking sleep.
There was one night when you came up, it was absolutely hilarious. And you came up and you just went, not tonight, boys, and just went straight into your room.
yeah, just turn the speaker off.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, amazing! Oh, there you go. That was
Walked in.
Like naughty school children.
Sleep deprivation had finally hit.
Yeah, after so many nights of that. I think
You
it
did
was.
some hours all day.
Yeah.
You really did.
Yeah.
I think it was weird, Alex. We were just up one night. That might have been the night, and I think you walked in, and because we were all low on numbers, and it was just me and Alex, it was just like, speaker off. Not tonight, boys. And then, after it,
I don't remember that. I genuinely
we were
don't.
like kicking off between us, like going, right, there needs to be a rule then. If there's 2 or more, speaker stays on.
I remember one time we were up pretty late, and you come in and you did a similar kind of thing, but you didn't just turn it off. You just walked up and you just turned it down, and then you walked into your room. Compromise, like turn it down a bit. You can still have it on.
Well,
Turn it down.
I was doing we were doing 16-hour days, like 15-hour days and 16-hour days. So you've got to get a little bit of kip at that point, haven't you?
That was funny.
Not
as
in
well,
our
like,
eyes.
How much port? I was doing like a booze run, weren't I? Going down to Lidl every day, coming back with bottles of port, and then we were drinking that.
Is that still your drink now, port?
No, I think that's the thing on it.
Before that album.
It's a brutal hangover, port. It's an absolutely, well, it's for me anyway.
It probably explains I got a bottle for my birthday and I had some last week and then I had a bad head.
I have a bottle of 1975 Dow's vintage port that Kylie gave me as a thank you at the end of the session.
Nice.
And like, when are you going to open that? You're never going to open it.
Tell you what, it's a good job you didn't bring it down to Rockfield.
Yeah, fucking is. So you boys have got your own beer now?
Yeah, well, we've got a couple, but we did an IPA.
So how did that come out?
In fact, they're here.
Yeah, so we did one for World I Understand. In fact, you haven't got one. Well, it's up here.
We made it ourselves, didn't we?
Wow.
That was the first one. That was with Doc's Beers, Grimsby.
What? So how did that come about?
I don't know. I remember the guy who runs Doc's Beers, Will. I remember shooting him a message thinking we could do something with that because the artwork looked class as well on that album. And he was like, "Yeah, 100%," because we just opened his venue. It was basically it's a brewery like tap room kind of thing, and then upstairs I think it was like I don't know, like an old church kind of setting, and it turned it into a venue anyway. Wow. And we were the first band to play it, but because we had a bit of a relationship with him anyway, he wanted to get involved, so we did that one. The only problem with that one is it was way too strong, which made it really expensive for people to buy as well.
Right. Okay.
And then with the second one, we thought,
how strong are we talking?
It was 6 point. It was at least 6.5, but it could have been more because we basically tried to replicate Elvis Juice by Brewdog, if you know that.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's like a grapefruit IPA. Yeah. So we tried doing something along them lines, but with the second one, we thought, right, let's partner with like a Yorkshire brewery. Right. And we'd done something with Brew York before as well, but we thought we need to make this like an everyday pilsner or like a more standard drink. Yeah. So we did that, and then I think over the years, yellow and black has become like the Sherlocks colours, but it just so happened that the last album was yellow and black anyway, so it stands out, so we thought we'd go down that route with it.
So did you make a little bit of money from that and stuff?
I don't know the finance side of it. For us, it was just a nice little side project to thing, but it's a nice drink as well.
But now you've got a pub as well, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Kim's way top, in fact. I went to watch him. They've got a football team. Went to watch him yesterday.
No way.
Yeah, Sherlock's logo.
Wow. Love it.
This is the football shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quality. It's a good pub. If you're ever in Lincoln or whatever, just...
yeah, of course, yeah.
It is good. We've got all his albums framed up and signed up wall.
Wow.
Looks good.
Wow.
We're going to make his own port soon, aren't we?
You are?
We're going to make his own port.
It's funny you said that. We're not going to do his own port, but I'm just thinking how much port we drank on that session actually influenced the track Porto, didn't it? Instead of intro, we called it Porto. Yeah. Which is mad. Just as a nod to the literage.
Yeah. Gallonage.
We didn't even drink port, or I didn't. So I don't understand how we ended up.
I think it was your dad's influence.
That and it was cheap.
Yeah.
I think my dad brought his beer machine down, actually.
He did.
He got it set up in his room.
Tell you what we should touch on. My dad's meals when he was cooking for us.
The fusion. The fusion.
Madras sauce
it would be, madras on pasta and things like that. Would just some culinary experimentation was had. And I think poor Jack was trying to go veggie at the time, wasn't he?
Just meat eaters. Like do a cottage pie with like loads of cheese on top, and then there'd be a nice little pot of Madras sauce and then some chicken wings over there.
Kept on changing it up as well, like changing the sauce to some like Chinese curry sauce or something.
It was definitely a more varied cuisine than on the first session, which really was, just cremated meats.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Have you heard out from Jack?
Yeah, no, Jack did a bike ride from Land's End to John O'Groats to raise money for people in Gaza. He still works at Rockfield a bit, but he's also working in London now as well. He's doing really well. Jack's brilliant.
Yeah, it was great, that session. It was really good.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Really helpful.
Yeah.
No, just such a nice guy, isn't he?
So, yeah, really talented as well, and just has a great demeanour. Perfect atmosphere to have in a session if you got Jack on. So when we did, I've done 2 albums with Jamie Webster now, and Jamie absolutely adores Jack as well. Just really loves him.
I always remember that the session, all the amps, probably the best setup that we've ever had in a studio. Well, 100%. That I've ever seen. It was unreal.
Yeah, because you've got a mint way of doing it. Like you'd have basically every amp we're going to use like lined up.
Yeah.
With a whatever you call them, separating them.
I remember your Kings of Leon AC30. That sounds absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And your fantastic homemade white amp.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Polaroid you took of me when you were playing Back in Black through your modified Marshall?
Do you know what?
There was just so much joy in my face in that photo. It was just like genuine happiness. It's like sometimes all you need is a riff,
It's true, but like I always remember you had the Watkins in the other room as well.
Yes, Little Watkins Westminster from 1957.
Yeah.
And then I had my 1973 high watt with a 1973 high watt cab as well. A Marshall Super Lead from 1975 with a modified Marshall cab it was 3 Celestion 30s from an orange cab and 1 Fane 50 watt from another high watt cab. So for sort of tonal variation in the cab. What else do we have with Selma treble and bass, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it your Marshall, Alex?
Was it a 900? Yeah, I had my 800.
There was a 900, your 800, and then your lovely white thing that we used a lot.
Wow, it's called, isn't it?
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Wow. That's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've not seen it probably since. I've not even plugged in my 800. That's just
Oh God, you're kidding me!
sitting
Really?
around. Yeah, I don't use it anymore. I've been using a Roland.
Oh what?
Gone to a Roland jazz chorus
Oh wow,
live
fantastic!
for a bit.
I love a jazz chorus.
Yeah, it's only the 60, but it just everything because I use so many pedals to recreate a lot of the different sounds. It just sounds amazing out front. So
Well, because it's solid state, it doesn't like it just gives you what the pedal gives you rather than sort of sagging.
Exactly, yeah. And
I've got a Japanese really heavy distortion pedal called a gain fucker, which obviously I bought without hearing because it's called a gain fucker. So why would you not buy that? I remember it took like 2 months to come or something like that, and finally this gain fucker arrived. And there was I was mixing at the time at a studio in London called Livingston. At the time was owned by Jerry Boyes, who did all the Buena Vista Social Club stuff. So he did loads of world music, and the jazz chorus amps are massive in the world, in the world music scene because they're just like so clean. He had a 4x10 JC 160 out in the live room. So that was just the only amp that was around to hear this gain fucker on, kind of thing. And I had my mate Sean Giannocchi with me, who's an amazing guitar player, and I had my Les Paul. And so we just went out and plugged this into this, really loud 4x10 solid state jazz chorus. And we just, had the pedal off, and it was just like crystal clean. Put the pedal on, and it just sounded like the Beautiful People, Marilyn Manson. Like it was just that pedal never sounded that good again, because you plug it into a valve amp, and the valves just sag because it's so much, and it just goes a bit kind of muggy. But on that day, that pedal sounded so good.
The secret weapon.
But actually, I just used it for the first time in like a decade on this last Florentine's recording. They just wanted to try it because it was called the Gain Fucker, and it actually really suited this one bit. So the
you can't beat a good name.
The resurrection of the Gain Fucker.
I tell you what, that's one thing we always love, Dave, just how loud you crank the amps up. I know that sounds daft, but me and our Brandon, in early days, pre-album 1, we went in with this producer, can't remember his name. You might know the studio, actually. It had a white carpet, and they made us take his shoes off.
In London?
Weirdly. Yeah, in London. No. Everything were white, in fact.
I think he was basically an aspiring producer. I think he'd done just like everyone starts somewhere. He'd basically done a few engineering jobs for Noel Gallagher's producer or something like that. He was just a young lad, and we did a session. What tune did we do, kid?
I think we were just testing Chasing Shadows them days.
At that point,
record that all the time. Wow. It's been recorded about 50 times. But when we got onto guitars, it was just so quiet. Like, it was mentally quiet. It was like, is this right? Like, his amp was so quiet. He went in the room and sorted the volume. We were like looking at each other, like, is he having a laugh? And then obviously the polar opposite view, the amps were like on frigging 10.
Well, I mean, it's just that with a guitar amp, there's 3 places that you can get distortion. There's Alex will tell you. There's the preamp, there's the power amp, and then there's the speaker. So when you have like a metal amp, like there's so much distortion going on in the amp that you want high wattage speakers because you don't want the speakers to add more distortion. So like a Mesa Boogie cab will have 100-watt speakers, and so then you can turn the master volume down a bit, and it will still sound kind of similar. But with something like a Marshall amp, the speaker distortion is really part of the game, kind of thing, because the speakers in a vintage Marshall cab will be like 25-watt Celestians, so they'll distort really early. It's not that they're quieter because they're 25 watts, it's that they distort earlier. So sometimes to get certain sounds, you just have to turn the fucker up, Yeah.
It was just some of the best sounds, especially when you're in the room. Obviously it inspires you to.
That's part of it. It's just more fun, and so that makes it more fun to make the record, and hopefully some of that finds its way into the grooves,
Like instantly, sometimes you can be spending ages, but you're just like, boom, it's there, and no matter what sort of sound you were going for, you had it there, and then you just it was a great way of working. Loved it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think for us as well, coming off the second album, we just sort of at the time we thought we were doing something different, like it sounds completely different to his first album. So I feel like on the third album, I think the biggest thing we wanted to do was try and get back to his roots almost, and get the guitars right at the forefront of the sound, and that was basically just the plan.
Yeah.
They were like, let's get it back how we were. And honestly, the third album it was perfect at the time. Like obviously Trent and Alex just coming out of a crazy time. Well, still in the crazy time.
Big style, yeah.
Yeah, it was just nice to get the guitars pumping again.
Yeah, it's a great studio for that Rockfield because you've got that room to the side, so you can have the drums, with all of the mics everywhere kind of thing, and the mic out in the corridor and all the Rockfield stuff going on, and then all the amps in a completely separate room, just blisteringly loud as well, kind of thing. So it's such a good studio for a band.
Is that your favourite of the two at Rockfield?
I like them both equally now. I mean, I formed my relationship with Rockfield in the Quadrangle because when I first went there in 1993, the Stone Roses were in the coach house for 13 months. So no one got in the coach house. So I fell in love with Rockfield in the Quadrangle. So I did most of my sessions in the 90s in the Quadrangle. But then, one time the Quadrangle wasn't available and I went over the coach house and, loved it just as much.
I'm pretty sure on the first session we did, we spent quite a bit of time. Well, we always spent a bit of time getting the drums sounding good, and we tried a few different positions in the...
That's true, actually. I remember we tried you in the big room, and we tried you in the dry room, and it was way more punchy in the dry room, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there were a few different... I think we set it up... We might even set it up 2 or 3 different places in that room as well, trying different things, but obviously come out mint, so well worth doing.
Who's done Bones, your new single? Because that sounds great. Drums sound brilliant on that as well.
Yeah, it's a guy called Dave Rashid Jones. He's based in Manchester, in like a little underground studio called Red City Recording. It's basically in the northern quarter, Manchester.
Right, okay.
You wouldn't even know it's there, would you, the studio?
No.
Right.
I think he likes that though as well.
Yeah, that's a wise move, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. The northern quarter is the really, really posh bit now, right?
It's getting a bit gentrified.
Maybe I'm thinking of another bit. But it sounds great. Sounds really good.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We did it sort of, the opposite of how we did it. We've done it in bits, haven't we, really? Like the odd day kind of thing.
Oh, really? Just going in chunks?
Yeah.
We did it in
blocks.
Blocks. Monday to Friday, I think. We were doing stuff like that.
Right, okay.
But I think that was just due to how we wanted to work it as well. So when we come back in on Mondays, had the weekend to process stuff, and obviously got family life as well. So I think you were just doing it in state. But I think we kind of enjoyed doing it like that in the way we were working, because we were staying in like this hotel as well. So it weren't like Rockfield where you're living in it and you feel like you're part of it. It will be a bit more. It's worked something different for us, but we definitely enjoyed it, and it's come out really well. So
yeah, no, I really like the sound of it. Really good, really good. I really like your distorted bass sounds good.
There's like 4 bass tracks in it or something.
Yeah, brilliant.
Not many guitars. I took over it.
Trent's quiet today, keeping quiet.
No, I was going to say that when we're in Rockfield, do you remember watching the Rockfield documentary? That was a bit like kind of crazy watching
surreal, wasn't it?
Crazy watching it while you're there.
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
A few other producers come down as well, didn't they? And it was like everyone watched it together.
I think Tom was in. It wasn't with the Pixies, was it? It wasn't the Pixies next door, was it? Who was in next door?
Was it Thunder?
Thunder,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So Nick. Yeah, Nick. So Nick came over, yeah. Wow, Thunder, yeah, of course. Wow.
It's surreal.
The Pixies were there when I was there with the Proclaimers last.
Pixies are class.
They are indeed.
You mentioned Stone Roses not long back. I'm sure you said, didn't you say you were in the reverb chamber?
Well, at the time, Stone Roses, in the enemy world of the time that I was immersed in, the Stone Roses were like gods, and this was 5 years since their first record, or probably 4 years at that point since their first record, and everyone was like, what does it sound like? What does it sound like? And in Rockfield, they have real echo chambers. So instead of a digital reverb, like when you send a sound to a room that's reflective and it's got a speaker in it, and just 2 microphones pick up the reflections kind of thing. Bill Price. So they'd done the record with 3 producers. John Leckie had started it, who did the first record. And then they'd done it with Simon Dawson and a guy called Paul someone. But anyway, finally Bill Price had come over to mix it. And Bill Price did Nevermind the Bollocks and London Calling, one of the all-time greats of British engineering. And he's over the other side in the coach house mixing this record that no one knew what it sounded like. And I was like, I'm going to go and sit in the echo chamber and just hear what they're sending to the echo chamber. chamber kind of thing. So I just went in really quietly and just sat there, and they were mixing Love Spreads. So I heard like the riff and like some of the drums, and it was just so exciting because no one else had heard it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, it's really fucking bluesy. Sounds like Zeppelin. Fucking hell, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But
It's just an insane riff, isn't it?
yeah, it's great. Yeah, but he mixed the whole thing over there.
Madness.
Yeah, I think he just mixed Use Your Illusion, Guns N' Roses as well.
Really?
Yeah, he gone from November Rain to Love Spread.
Yeah.
Well, two classics there.
Yeah, well, Use Your Illusion sold a bit more, eh? 20 million each. 20 million each record.
Trent's big into them, aren't you? Guns N' Roses.
I love Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Well, I bonded with the Manics over a love of Appetite for Destruction. It was like a kind of bonding thing for us. So I was the T-boy on their first indie single, and we just started talking. Appetite was the first record that I listened to the production on specifically. You know, it was like it came out in 1986, 1987. So I was like 16, and I realised that Slash was in one speaker and that Izzy was in the other, and that Slash was like really on it and metal, and that Izzy was like behind the beat, and it was that interaction that gave them their groove kind of thing. And listening to Duff's bass lines, and it is a perfect record.
It is, for a first record as well.
It's just, I listen to it once a year, and it always just blows me away. The sounds, the performances. I mean, Axl's voice is just so extraordinary. Like his lower register, and it's so easy. It's so menacing, so menacing, and it's horrible. The lyric is fucking horrible, and lots of them are, but they're real. They were LA gutter snipe punks, and they meant it, which is hard. It's hard to get that kind of nihilism and be real with it on that kind of record. Never mind the bollocks, Appetite for Destruction, and Nevermind all did it. Obviously, all those bands would probably hate each other and hate to be put in a lineage, but there is a lineage there.
What's your favourite album of all time, Dave? I know it's probably tough.
Don't say ours. Don't say ours. I just wanted to stop you there.
I don't know. You can't answer that, can you? I mean, like, I don't know. Like, Revolver, Abbey Road, Nevermind, In Utero. There's just, fucking rumours back in black.
Yeah.
Highway to Hell. Crosby, Stills and Nash, Deja Vu, Cream. It's just too many. It's ridiculous.
Is there a favourite record you produced? Like, obviously we get asked what is favourite, I don't know, gig is all the time, and it's like you can never.
I mean, the most exciting moment was when If You Tolerate This was number one, because it was just everything had been building up to that for such a long time, and it was just such a it sold 165,000 singles that 1 week, and it just felt good.
Yeah, it's still massive now, isn't it? Like, I think Radio X hammer it as well.
Yeah.
Still.
Well, that synth ended up on Slip Road, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
it did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah, it ends up on loads of things. It's sitting over there. You can
Is it the MS-20?
Yeah, where is it? There it is, just above my hand. It's still got the Chinograph marks on from the sweeps from Tolerate.
Fantastic. For anybody who don't know Dave, what is the backstory with the Manics? How you came to be so involved with them?
I was the T-boy on their very first indie single at the studio that I worked at in London called Power Plant. We just hit it off, and they used to send me postcards from tour and things like that. And on that first session, there was a song called Motown Junk. They needed like a Hammond. I want to call it a part, but it would be a lie. It was a chord. Like, it was literally just a D chord in the chorus. So I want to call it a part, but I knew where the D chord was on the Hammond, and so I went down and did it, and that was my first credit, assistant engineer and Hammond by Dave Eringa sort of thing. And it was just so, they were really young, and they were outsiders. This was the sort of second Summer of Love. Baggy was everywhere, and they were like iconoclastic punks with, ripped up T-shirts with situationist phrases on them and wanting to smash everything. Although I wasn't that, they could see I was kind of an outsider in this cool London studio, and I was a dickhead metaler with like long hair, wearing a Kiss T-shirt into work without realising that was a stupid thing to do, sort of thing. And so we kind of bonded over being outsiders, and over Guns N' Roses. So yeah, they came back and they did their second indie single there as well, which was the first version of You Love Us, and I played organ on that again. And then they went off and got their big deal with Columbia, and they kept calling me, and so I played some of the keyboards on their first album, literally just the ones that I could play, because I'm not a very good keyboard player, So at that point they had lots of budget and could use anyone. And on songs like Motorcycle Emptiness and the ones that I couldn't play, they did. They used other people. And their producer at the time, Steve Brown, was so kind because he could have easily just said, look, this kid's a sweet kid, but he can't really play very well, so we'll just, not use him. But he went to the effort of including me, and I'll always love him for that. And so, when Generation Terrorist came out in 1991, it came out just before Nevermind. And so the Manics had their manifesto at the time was to sell 17.5 million copies of their debut double album and then split up as a kind of mad, fucked up thing to do. And in order to do that, they felt like they had to compromise and make a really polished sounding record for radio kind of thing. So they did that with Generation Terrorists. And then the moment it came out, everything in the world changed. Grunge was in, everything had to be super real and not polished. And so they felt like they'd made this compromise and it hadn't, they didn't sell 17 million records. So they didn't split up. And I think, although they absolutely adored Steve, who produced the first record, they wanted to have, he was very much the kind of dad type producer that, put his arms around his shoulder and say, this is how we should do it, boys. And they wanted to have more of a kind of collaborator, someone their own age type of producer. And so out of nowhere, even though I was only a tape op at the time or an assistant engineer at the time, I kind of lied to them about how much engineering I'd done. And so they asked me to do the demos for the second album, and they turned out really good. And so they asked me to produce it, which was mental because I was 21 and hadn't produced anything before. But
it's crazy. That's so young.
Yeah. I know. So we went off to a very posh studio, which the label charmingly said, we can afford that because you're so cheap. And it was sink or swim. I had to learn to do it or fuck everything up. So and then that was a top 10 record, and so I was sort of off and running then.
At 21?
Yeah. And then I went on.
It's when you produce your best stuff, isn't it? Like, getting chucked in at the deep end.
Yeah, exactly. Just like you were, Trent.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like sink or swim, isn't it? It's like, here's a great opportunity, let's not fuck it up,
Yeah, amazing.
Then I went on tour with them. Like I say, that definitely made me feel like my place was the studio, but also gave me that kind of perspective on why a band would want to capture that moment on stage, because it's obviously so exciting, standing next to the drum kit and standing next to James's amp and feeling that thing. So that gave me a kind of feeling of wanting to capture that electricity in the studio, So it gave me a really good sort of start as to what I wanted to do when I got back into the studio. And then I just, with the Manics, they're just, I feel like their little brother with all of the love and abuse that implies. And so we've just, I haven't done all their records, but we've just finished their 15th album.
Mad.
And I think I've been on 11 of them or 12 of them or whatever it is.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. When
that's a lot of albums.
15.
Well, I'm thinking, just from the short time when we were in Rockfield, you could see how close a bond you'd got with the band, because I'm pretty sure James turned up on one of the sessions to drop a birthday present off, or vice versa.
No, James is a very close friend, and I love him, and just a ridiculously, extraordinarily talented individual. And the new record's brilliant.
Yeah, I noticed Nicky singing a bit on it. Is it?
Yeah, so the second single they put out is called Hiding in Plain Sight, and it's brilliant. And we tried it with James, and it just suited Nicky's range better. It's kind of got the kind of rush of an early Dinosaur Jr. tune. It's really cool song. Really cool song.
Yeah, I saw it on Jules.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That's a single, right?
That's the second single, yeah. So the first single was called Decline and Fall, which has been a really good radio hit for them. Which has got this kind of post-punk kind of like skidsy kind of feel to it. Yeah.
Great tune.
And then Hiding in Plain Sight, and then they've just put out a lovely song called People Ruin Paintings, and then the album's out on February 7th.
Number 15.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you get to the point where you've done 15 albums?
I think that kind of, the weight of that, definitely, we felt that making it. It was like, there has to be purpose,
Bit like a band like James as well, like, they've been around forever, and it's like they still keep churning out good songs after good songs. It's like, it's really in them to want to do it. It's not like they have to do it. They never have to make another album. Same with Manic. They never have to make another album, but they're still doing it for the right reason.
They've just got a really good work ethic, and they just want to express themselves and make the art,
Yeah. No, it's inspiring though. It's inspiring. A band like ours, because you see them bands like 15 albums, mental. Like we feel like especially me and Brandon, we feel like we've been doing it a fair while now.
You have. So few bands. If you look at like the history of music, so few bands get to album 5. I mean, next to none, really. Probably less than 2%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a real achievement.
Yeah, well, we're enjoying it still.
Yeah.
And you're still selling shitloads of tickets, right?
As you know, it's forever changing, innit? And bands, I don't know if they're becoming less popular. I think we're on the cusp of it changing again, where bands are going to be the popular thing at the minute, because it just feels like there's a lot of
look at an artist like Jamie Webster. Literally did Sefton Park to 30,000 people, and there's not a single record on the radio. Not a single record on the radio.
It's mental. No. Something needs to change, but I do think bands are going to be like a lot of bands are doing.
There's so much coming through. You guys were one of the first of these northern bands that, okay, so maybe, it's not on Radio 1 all day, but you're playing massive gigs to loads of people. So are the K's, so is Jamie, obviously is doing fucking amazing. Lottery winners.
Yeah.
There's just a ton of them. There's just a ton of them that once you get north of Watford can play to like 3,000, 4,000 people really consistently,
Yeah, well, I think that seems to be the latest thing, which is good. I'm into it. Like, a lot of these bands are just doing their own festival. A bit like we did Don Valley. And a lot of bands are starting to do that now, where it's just like taking it into their own hands, like, right, I'll put my own gig on kind of thing.
Completely. That's what Jamie did at Sefton.
Yeah. You got any more questions, Brandon, before we shoot?
No, I'm just going to say I don't want to take too much of your time, Dave, but is there what you got planned for 2025 and the near future?
Manic's album out in a few weeks. Florentines will launch properly this year, and I'm super excited for that. Second album I'm mixing for a band called Killer Star, who are all made up of Bowie musicians, so that's interesting. Lots of collaborators of Bowie over the years. Hopefully there'll be another record with Calo Giraud, my French genius, this year. And then see what happens.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you again for taking time out to talk to us.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll catch up with you soon, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Somewhere along the road.
Lovely to see you. Good luck with the new record.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, cheers.
We're going to try his best. It's not long to go.
Exciting.
And start on album 6 then. See if we can make it 15.
Why don't we get back together and make some of those loud guitars?
Let's do it. Yeah. Let's do it. We need to get back to Rockfield as well. I feel like
100%.
I'm missing that. We did his first album there. We did his third album there. So I feel like number 6, not that makes any sense.
There's no singles there.
If it'd be number 5, wouldn't it? As I was saying that, I'm thinking this makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, if you add 1, 2, and 3 and ignore 4 and 5, you get 6.
Yeah. That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
But but nice one, Dave. Take care, buddy.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Dave.
Cheers, Dave.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Right, everybody, that were our chat with Dave Eringa. Big thanks to Dave for giving up his time and chatting with us. We hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next week for another episode of the Sherlocks podcast. There's only one thing left to do, Alex.
Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment.